Hey all, here is my simple getting started DaVinci Resolve editing workflow when you just want to edit a few clips and make a video and nothing much more than that. So let's have a look. Right, when you first open DaVinci Resolve in Windows, you're going to see this. Now if it's the first time, you won't see anything other than Untitled Project. So I always go into this, just click here or double click, and it will open like this. Now the first thing I would say that's different to the other editors I've used is that a lot of it revolves around these tabs, if you like, here. So on hover you should see them. Okay, so this is the media, this is the cut, and this is the edit. Now for me, again, just trying to get my clips up onto YouTube, all I'm really using is edit, and okay, you can do a lot more here, but then and deliver is then how to produce the clip at the end. Okay, so if we start off, and it took a while to load, you can see that. If I come back again, and it's really easy to get confused because the interface has changed. Sometimes they're not that different. So always check down here if you're confused. But let's go into the edit interface. And you see over here, no clips in media pool. So you want to import your clips. Now, if I bring up here, I've got 2 clips in my downloads folder that I want to bring in. Now I can simply drag and drop them. That is just the way I do it all the time. But otherwise you can do import media and then find them that way as well. So let's do it that way as I've started. Okay, maybe I'll do them in the other order. And this is really useful as well. Always change your frame rate, because I don't know what the default is, but this will change it to match your clips. So later on when you output the video, you could have issues if you don't change it, okay? And you'll see they've appeared up here. I can view them, okay, in here. I don't really like that. Again, I get a bit confused by this kind of stuff, but you can see if on hover I get some information about them, and that's all good. I've got them where I want them because I can work with them now. Now before I go on, I would save this as a project. Let me just call it VSC because I'm working with Visual Studio Code Editor. I've actually already made this project, but it was a nice simple one that I thought I'd use as a demo. Okay, so I've got that. Now what you can do, you can click in the dead space here and then press Ctrl+A to select all, and you can right click, insert clips to timeline, because the timeline is what you're going to work with down here. Okay. Or if you don't want to do that, you can equally do the right click insert, or you can drag them. Personally, I actually like to insert because at least then it starts at the start. And you see if I drag, I'm already getting my audio out of sync. So let me just say insert clips to timeline. Okay, I don't want to give it a name, that's fine. Default works for me. And then you can see what looks probably familiar to most other editors. I always found this a bit confusing at the start because I keep thinking it's a 1 hour, but it's actually just timeline 1, and it's 4 minutes and 12 seconds duration. Again, this Timehead, Pinhead, whatever you want to call it, is pretty standard. And quite nicely, compared to some other editors, you can actually slide through, plays the audio backwards and forwards. Now if we're working with this editing interface, notice over here you've got your zoom. So if you want to get a bit more granular with your clips, you've got that, and I can zoom out, and you can do that with a keyboard, Ctrl+ or minus, just like you could with a web browser. Again, down here I can slide across, but that doesn't actually click up here, then it brings it across. I think if I press home or end, it jumps to the end, and I can use the right arrow on my keyboard and left arrow. So you can probably see at the start here. Now if I do that, I don't like that because it only does the one track. Okay, so if I press Ctrl+ to zoom in, you can see I've got this, and if I press the right arrow, I got this dead space with no audio. So what I can do there is I can press B. Now B selects this blade edit mode. So I guess they've chosen a razor blade because in the old days when you cut film you would physically cut the celluloid film with a razor blade, right? So you've got your blade for cutting. That just selects it actually, but if I press Ctrl and B, then it actually cuts through. You see, it leaves them cut, okay, where I was. So that's nice. So I can then again use my left and right arrow keys, or a couple of nice shortcuts actually. If you press semicolon, it then jumps to the start of the clip, and apostrophe jumps to the last frame in the clip. And then right and left arrows you can jump through. So again, semicolon, start of clip, apostrophe next to it, the end of the clip. Now I want to select all of these. Now I can just with the keyboard just do that with the mouse, sorry, or I can, another way to do that, and again I like using the keyboard, Alt Shift and V, that then selects all of the clips in view under this cut. So if I press Backspace as I did there, it deletes it but without deleting the space on the edit, so then you've got like dead space. What I generally do is again Alt Shift and V and press delete, and then that does the ripple delete. It shunts it all backwards. Just note, the reason why I don't like using the mouse is that, say if I do select the razor, if I press it there, it doesn't actually do the audio as well. So then if you try and do it, not only are you pressing twice, but if you zoomed out a little, it's very easy to get those slightly out of sync. And then if you did it with the mouse, again, you could do that and then manually highlight the clips and press delete. I'm not going to do that because I want this, but let's say again, if I use the mouse instead of the left and right arrows, which is what I prefer, Ctrl// actually does the cut all the clips in view as well. So another useful one, Ctrl/. So now I've selected that bit of dead space. Let's just double check. Yeah. Press semicolon, left arrow again, semicolon is a nice way to jump through a few clips. If I press the right arrow to select it, Alt Shift and V, and then delete, and I lose that space. Let me press the home key. Let's just check it by pressing play, which is the space bar. Okay, fine. It's maybe a bit tight, but it does it. And if I press Ctrl and S, I'm going to save it. Now, note up here, you can what's called transform. This is where you can zoom, okay? So if I click on that and then I click my mouse button and slide right, you can see the video clip is zooming. And if I slide left, it's zoom out, right is zoom in, okay, left is out. And if you just put it back to 1, it goes back to where it was. And that's the zoom on the x-axis, and then the position actually moves it left to right, again sliding, corresponding. Nothing crazy, but just once you get the transform, then you can start to see what you're doing. And again, the zoom, I'm zooming on the y-axis. I mean, I find that a little bit confusing. For me, zoom is zoom, but yeah, for some of you that might be useful. And again, the position on the y-axis, you can move it up and down, just like x and y axes on a graph, right? So I'm not going to do anything with that, but it is useful when you need to resize your clips. Oh, I could just type it in, but now let's say I want to add this in at a certain point on my clip, right? Because I had to add a point that I'd forgotten earlier. So if I come over to where it is, let me try and find it.
A little bit with some keyboard shortcuts in Visual Studio Code, so I thought I'd make this.
Okay, let me stop that. It's around here, I think.
Now, for instance, Control-Tab then toggles through between.
That's not it. Give me a second. Okay, so I think I found it. And just one other point to note, when you can get quite caught up in, if let's say if you're often in the blade mode, again, this is why I don't recommend using the mouse for it. You can end up trying to drag your clips and then end up cutting them by mistake, right? So I'll just Ctrl-Z to undo, but when you want to move things, just make sure you're always selecting the arrow. Again, if you use the keyboard shortcut, Ctrl//, then you are able to cut them without going back and forth, selecting the arrow, selecting the blade. Okay, so that's just another reason why I really rate using the keyboard over the mouse for this. Now my computer's having a bit of a moment, but if I use the left arrow, okay, let's see how, let's put that back where it should have been. Okay, I'm not really sure why that time it didn't cut through both of them. It's a bit odd sometimes. I don't really get it, but if I press B, it just selects it. It doesn't actually do it, but Ctrl/ twice then does it if it's not working for both of them in the first instance. But anyway, okay, so let me go back to my select, and I want to add my adjunct clip in here. So let me just say, if I press the apostrophe to make sure I'm at the end, perfect. It's always easiest to add it where you're, again, I forget the name of this, pinhead, let's call it, time marker. And if I come up in here, I can insert selected clips to timeline. And then that's going to add it right where that is, okay? So if you see the name of the file, what it's done then is it's just added it into where I had my cut. So it does it nice and easy. I wouldn't get into trying to drag and drop it. That gets way too confusing if you're going to put it in the middle. But if you did want to put it at the end, you can then also, I think, insert append. So then you can see, and I didn't want to do that, but you can see it's done it at the end. So I'm just going to drag that down, just delete that extra one. So if I slide, and maybe I'll do Ctrl- to zoom out. And if I do the left arrow, semicolon, I can see and move left and right. I can see that looks about right. Now I would do a bit more on this before moving on, but that just gives you that idea. Okay, so, and I'm going to be Ctrl+S, saving this all the time as I go. So what we've done then, we've zoomed a few clips, we've moved things around, we've cut them, and it's made it that much easier. Now you can, if you wanted to increase the volume, if you select the audio, you can just click on there and drag up. Now you can see that's going to get distorted, but you can pull down to increase, decrease, and yeah, up to increase. But I am then going to undo those changes again using Ctrl+Z. Again, if I save that, okay, that's fine. Another thing that I was looking for when I first started with DaVinci Resolve was the effects. Now this is actually to add text, I should say. So I can put, like, there's lots of text effects you can put onto here, and you can drag them onto the timeline, and you can see this is a scroll. So I play it.
Commands I need to search for as an alternative to.
Okay, so you get the idea by the name, and you can play around, but there's a lot built in, and you can go on well beyond that, but that just gives an idea, and you can, you know, extend it as you will. And that's actually another point. When you see this icon, if you do it on mouse hover, you can, you know, trim by dragging as well. All right, so if I did that, I'm actually trimming. Now I don't want to do that in this case, but you can see how those icons indicate the trim function. So assuming that's all I'd want to do, right? And just remember, if you want to see the video options, it's best to just select the video you want, and then these will be available, because they might be grayed out otherwise. Okay, so, and if that's all that we need to do, then we can go over to our deliver tab, right? Again, remember, it's in this tab. And I just wanted, when I started doing this, just wanted to output to YouTube, and I found it really confusing as well. So I'm just going to call it VSC to match the name of the file. I mean, you call it whatever you want, but then you want to click on the, well, before you do that, you really want to click on the YouTube option, because that then has a default set of options that work best for YouTube. Now, if you're going to do shorts or something, you've got the vertical there to go for. And then also the browse location, wherever you output your videos to, by default, it's in the videos file. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. I'll choose that, and it's there. And this again was a little bit confusing for me. If you do add render queue, then that is ready, but it doesn't actually start processing. Okay, so then what you want to do is render all, and that will start to output your videos in queue. Now it got a bit confusing for me. It kind of goes through it on the timeline, so you start to see it, and it might take, so let's say this video is actually, how long was it, 2.5 minutes, and it's saying it's got 3 minutes 10 seconds remaining. So it takes, in this case, a little bit longer, but it depends on your computer and also on the clips you're trying to do. I hope you found that basic intro to DaVinci Resolve useful, because that's everything I needed to use and I just couldn't find it. A lot of these professional filmmakers were making things that were way too complicated. I just wanted to get started, and this is what worked for me. Check out my next video here for more, and I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.